I'm Michael, and this is my wife Laura. We've been married for 58 years, and I need to tell you something right now before you scroll past or click away. What we're about to share is something we wish someone had told us on our wedding day back in 1967. These aren't small lessons. These are the mistakes that nearly pulled us apart. And if you're in a relationship, or even thinking about one, you need to hear this. When Michael says nearly pulled us apart, he means it. There were years when I truly wasn't sure we'd reach our next anniversary. Looking at us now, sitting here together, people assume it's been easy. They see decades together and think we figured it out early. We didn't. We made choices that cost us time, closeness, and moments we can never get back. But we learned from them. And that's why we're here. Mistake number 1, keeping score of who does more. For the first 14 years of our marriage, I carried a running list in my head. I worked long hours. I paid the bills. I fixed what broke. I drove the kids where they needed to go. And every time Laura asked me to help with something else, a voice inside me would say, "Don't you see everything I already do?" I never said it directly, but it showed in my tone, my silence, my distance. The resentment sat between us, quiet but heavy, and I had my own list. I cooked nearly every meal. I handled the house. I raised our children. I scheduled appointments, packed lunches, stayed up at night when they were sick or scared. I remembered birthdays, holidays, school events, and family obligations. When Michael came home exhausted and complained about his day, I swallowed my frustration and added another mark to my list. Another reminder that I felt unseen. Another reason I felt alone. The problem was that marriage isn't a transaction. It isn't about balancing effort like a scale. Life doesn't work in perfect halves. Some seasons require one person to carry more weight. When Michael injured his back and couldn't work for months, I carried everything without keeping score. Years later, when I faced my own health challenges, he stepped in fully. But before we learned that lesson, we wasted years measuring sacrifices instead of appreciating them. What changed everything was something our oldest daughter said. She was struggling in her own marriage, and one evening she asked me, "Mom, do you and Dad even enjoy being together?" That question hit me harder than any argument ever had. We loved each other deeply, but we had forgotten how to act like teammates. Slowly, deliberately, we stopped counting. Not perfectly, not instantly, but intentionally. Mistake number 2, believing you can change the person you married. Laura is a planner. She always has been. She likes lists, calendars, and knowing what's coming next. I've always been more spontaneous. I like flexibility. For years, this difference caused tension. She felt anxious when I didn't commit early. I felt trapped when everything was scheduled. We argued about it constantly, that I believed if I explained myself clearly enough, Laura would eventually relax. She believed if she pushed hard enough, I would become more organized. What we didn't realize was that we were trying to reshape each other instead of accepting each other. The shift came when we stopped seeing these traits as flaws. Laura's planning creates stability. My spontaneity brings lightness. Now she handles long-term plans and structure, and I bring surprise into our lives. We stopped fighting our differences and started using them. Mistake number 3, staying silent until everything explodes. This one was mine. I avoided difficult conversations because I didn't want conflict. I convinced myself I was being patient, but really, I was storing resentment. Small disappointments piled up quietly until one minor moment would unleash everything at once. That I remember losing my temper over something trivial. Laura stood there stunned, while months of frustration spilled out. It wasn't about that moment. It was about feeling unheard. If I had spoken earlier, calmly and honestly, we could have worked through it together. We learned that silence doesn't protect peace. It delays conflict until it becomes more painful. Honest conversations, spoken early and kindly, save marriages. Mistake number 4, assuming love can run on autopilot. After more than 2 decades together, we fell into routine. We handled responsibilities efficiently, but connection faded. Conversations became logistical. Days passed without real emotional exchange. We weren't unhappy, just distant. The danger is how quietly it happens. There's no single moment where you stop trying. It fades slowly. Romance, curiosity, effort all soften until one day you realize something important is missing. What woke us up was watching close friends separate after decades together. They told us nothing was wrong. They were just existing side by side. That terrified me. So we changed. We brought back shared meals without distractions. We asked deeper questions again. We took evening walks. We scheduled intentional time together, not because it felt natural, but because it mattered. Mistake number 5, forgetting you're on the same team. Our arguments used to feel like competitions. Each of us tried to win. But marriage isn't about winning. When one person loses, both do. This became clear during a difficult season with our son. He was struggling deeply, and we had different ideas about how to help him. Instead of arguing, we listened. We compromised. We faced the challenge together. That experience reminded us that we are partners. Not opponents. Not rivals. Teammates facing life side by side. When you remember that, arguments change. You stop trying to prove your point and start trying to understand. You look for solutions instead of victories. That we aren't perfect. We still stumble. But now we recognize old patterns before they take over. We course correct. We choose each other intentionally, every day. These lessons came through mistakes, reflection, and growth. If sharing them helps even one couple avoid the pain we went through, then telling our story is worth it. That if I could go back and speak to my younger self for a moment, these are the 5 things I would tell him. Stop keeping score. Accept who Laura is, not who you want her to become. Speak the hard truths before they turn into resentment. Never stop choosing time together. And always remember that you are on the same team. Nearly 6 decades together is a long journey. We've said goodbye to people we loved, welcomed children and grandchildren, endured setbacks, and celebrated moments we never imagined. We are nothing like the 2 people we were in the late 1960s, but we grew side by side, and that made all the difference. This channel exists for people like us, sharing lessons learned through years of living, loving, and learning the hard way. If something we shared resonated with you, consider subscribing and turning on notifications. Let us know in the comments which mistake felt most familiar to you. Press the like button if this conversation mattered to you. We're also planning a future question and answer video. If you have questions about marriage, relationships, or life itself, leave them below. While we're still here, we want to pass on what we've learned. If it spares you even a little pain, it's worth it.